let's get into kind of the meat of the review. We'll start off. We've just got 5 bullet points, numbered points we want to talk about tonight, specifically related to the Northwestern game. Sorry, folks, I'm a little flustered today. Brand new camera has been kind of giving me a little bit of a fit, but it sure looks a lot better. Anyway, Blackshirts, we'll start with them. They gave up 527 yards of offense. Do you recall a game last year where the Blackshirts gave up that much offense to anybody? I don't think they gave that much up to Ohio State, for crying out loud. That thought just hit my mind and I didn't bother to research it, so that's my bad. But good Lord, 526 yards. That's just craziness. What was your first thought or general thoughts on how the Blackshirts performed yesterday?
I honestly think they need to get their black shirts revoked. There wasn't a single aspect of our defense that I could look at and say, well, at least that looked good. The corners were off, the linebackers were off, the edge rushers were off, the defensive line was off. Yep. And as I said on Twitter, I think I said this on Twitter, my prediction of our defense taking a step forward in game one, granted it is just game one, was completely off. And there was nothing about that defense that I could say was remotely good.
Right.
There were a few individual things that were done, but I mean, even the parts of the defense the moments that the defense had that were good, they were not good. They were sandwiched into something that wasn't good, like the Cam Porter helmet to football fumble. Like, cool, we got a fumble out of that deal, but he was also on a 20-yard rush at that point. You know, like he was doing something good, and it was just the helmet just so happened to hit the right spot, and you could look all across the defense throughout the entire game, and it was pretty much the same thing. If there was something good, it wasn't necessarily uniquely well-rounded good. It was just one individual made a play when nobody else was, and that's just kind of my overall take of the defense, was that it just was bad. It was just all around bad.
In answer to that question I just asked about how many yards Ohio State put up on our defense last year, it was 495. So we gave up more yardage to the team picked last, to finish last in the Big Ten West, than we gave up to Ohio State. I get it. This is a younger defense than it was last year. We lost 6 super seniors. 3 of them are in the NFL, I think, maybe 4. So that's a lot of experience we lost, but still, holy smokes. To give up 427 yards to a Ryan Kalinsky-led offense is just crazy. 313 through the air, 214 via the run. You're not going to win a lot of football games if you're giving up 200 yards on the ground.
No.
You're just not. The interior of the defensive line, it seemed like Feast and Robinson were just getting... There was one run, I think it was in the fourth quarter. I was rewatching the game in the 60-minute version of the game on BTN right before I got on here. And there was a run, I don't remember if it was Porter, I think it was Hull. They were backed up inside their 10 or 15-yard line. It was like 3rd and 7 or something. And this hole just opens up wide open. And I watched it, and then on the replay, I'm like, Colton Feast was double teaming one offensive lineman, and the guy ran right around his backside. What the hell is a defensive lineman doing double teaming an offensive lineman in the hole? It made no sense to me. So that was why that hole was so stinking big, was Feast was acting like an offensive lineman, helping him open his own hole. So at least that's how I saw it. I don't know the X's and O's, and to be truthful with all of you folks watching, we're not X's and O's gurus. We're football fans that look at Husker games from kind of a big picture point of view. But that play was kind of indicative of everything that day. People couldn't get off blocks. Linebackers like Nick Henrik were missing tackles when he doesn't do that very often. So I don't know if it was jet lagged, wasn't quite ready to play. I just don't know. And all 3 of the edge guys, right? Tanner and Nelson pregame, we saw him losing his mind and psyching his buddies up. And I don't know, maybe they expended way too much energy being hyped before the game, but they were gone. I think O'Shawn might have
Non-factor.
forced one bad throw the whole game, but I didn't see a whole lot of pressure. And linebackers, like I said earlier, I wrote this note. They were missing tackles like they were being coached by 2017 Bob Diaco or 2007 Kevin Cosgrove, two of the worst defenses Nebraska's ever seen, because in those years, those linebackers couldn't tackle either, which is hard for me to say because Reimer and Henrich have been so stinking solid. So I just don't know what to think. How about you?
Yeah, one of the things that I especially noticed on our defense were the secondary and linebackers not being able to make open field tackles to save their life. They were arm tackling, they were not getting the right angles on guys,
Yep.
and when they were getting their arms wrapped around them, it was like they were trying to wrestle a pig in a grease pit. That it just was like it just seemed like they were just outmatched and outstrength against any one-on-one situation. And unless they were getting like a perfect target, like hitting them directly in the center mass of their body with the momentum going in the perfect direction, they were just doinking off of Northwestern players all damn day. And yeah, I think the biggest disappointment are the edge rushers with all of the hype around Nelson. And I was one of those guys. I was really hyped around Nelson, and Caleb Tanner and O'Shawn Mathis. Between those three guys, they were non-existent completely. Right. And it was just so unfortunate to see. The secondary and the defensive line were the things that I had the biggest question marks around, and for good reason, because our safeties and our cornerbacks were just they seemed confused. They seemed like they weren't communicating. It looked like where they were supposed to be on the field, whether it was zone or man, they were just not where they were supposed to be. And they were half a step behind anything that Northwestern was attempting to do on offense. And so they could just chew us up on every aspect, like between every level of our defense. They were able to just chew us up. And yeah, man, like this is the worst linebacker performance I've seen out of Nebraska in a very, very long time. Some things you could look at and say, it just needs a little bit of tweaking and a little bit of, it's the first game, they got to kind of hash some things out and, work out the kinks a little bit. But just out of that game from the eyeball test, it was awful, just god awful.
There was, as I was watching the replay on BTN, I saw the one earlier this afternoon, and there was one guy that stood out on defense that seemed to be there whenever a decent play was made, and that was Tommy Hill. When it came to him making a tackle, he was pretty solid. I saw at least 4 individual tackles he made in open field that were excellent. So there was one positive I saw out of the game. Unfortunately, there were just way too many holes in the middle of the field, especially in the passing game. There were times that Helinski was making throws where you couldn't hardly see anybody in the picture on the TV. When he completed the pass, it was like, how is it that wide open? The first touchdown he threw was busted coverage. It just was, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just was hard to watch. It's hard to watch the defense play, for sure. And, hey, hats off to the Northwestern punter. You want to talk about a dude dropping some darts inside the 20-yard line? That guy was money all game long. Yeah. Absolutely all game long. Good job. Good job on that punter who his dad played for many years as an Hall of Famer. I think his dad's a Hall of Famer as a punter in the NFL, so comes from good stock.